everybody. Check out this groove. This is a song called the Jody Grind, and it's by Horace Silver. I think it's a really good song to learn. It is a blues. It's got kind of a weird couple of chords in there, but they're really not that weird if you know how to think about them and to analyze them. Of course, we'll go over that. But first, let's get this bass line. Okay, advertisement time. Got a Patreon link down in the description if you'd like to support the channel. If you want to just do a one-time donation, there's a PayPal link and a Venmo link. The Venmo link is new, so thank you very much if you want to use that. I really appreciate it, and it really helps me out a lot. Also, leave a comment. Let me know what you'd like to see on the channel. You know, I like to teach theory by teaching songs, great songs that you can play and have fun with. A lot of people, of course, are going to play this in a trio setting, but if you just want to work on some hand independence, we can take this bass line. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4. All right, if you don't know how to count, this is a good place to learn. The first note is a dotted quarter note, so it gets 3/8 notes, which is 1 and 2, right? That's 3/8 notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. And then all those other notes are on the ands of the beat. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4. The chord in the right hand comes in two different places. It comes on 2 first, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and it comes on the and of 1 in the second measure. So really slowly, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Now, when I play this, I was able to just kind of feel it and not really count it. If you don't know how to count rhythm like this, you really should learn how to do it. And that helps you internalize a little bit and understand what's going on. The second part, he still uses the same chord at first, so it's kind of like a E flat suspended, which then will resolve down to E flat 7. So, and then back to our B flat. Now, when I listened to it, it sounded like it was somewhere between 144 and 152. However, towards the end of the song, it's, you know, a little bit faster, more between like 152 and 160, someplace in there. So jazz on a grid just doesn't work that well. You know, it needs to have energy. Let me put it slower first so you get the idea. Here, this is like 112. So the first chord will come with a click. Okay, on the A chord. So that's the basic groove. Now I did try to play the melody and the bass line at the same time. I kind of had to write it out so I could see where things lined up. It's pretty tricky to do. It would be a good exercise to practice hand independence and just, you know, feeling complicated rhythms with each hand that are not exactly the same. 1, 2, 3, 4. So first we're on the offbeat, 2, 3, 4, da, 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 da. Last two notes right on the beat there. So with the metronome, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I did come up with a better fingering. If you get 3 and 2 there, then you can put your thumb underneath and do that. So, wish me luck on that one. Best scale to use, just the plain old B-flat blues scale. All right, that's the 1, the flat 7, the 5, the flat 5. You can call that the sharp 4 also, or the tritone. Then the 4, the flat 3, and the 1. Okay? But the melody has got this note in, and also there probably is a C in there someplace. I don't know if there is or not, but that would be another note that you could include. It is in there in the second line there. The C, and then the G. So that gives you a pretty good sound if you mix those notes in along with the blues scale. Okay, the blues scale, and all this is on the PDF. And we're going to add those two notes. So we come up with lines like this. Or, okay. All right, now we have a really cool line on some, what seems to be kind of strange chords, but I'm going to show you a way to think about them. They're going to seem perfectly normal. We've got an A7 plus 4, okay. That plus 4 is now usually called the sharp 11. All right, so think of A7 sharp 11. We've got a root, our 7th, our 9th, our 3rd, our 13. The sharp 11 is here. I never heard it on the recording, so I'm leaving it out and just playing what you might recognize as a typical rootless voicing for A7. All right. And same thing for B7. All right. Now, when we're improvising, we might want to put that note in. That is the correct scale, but it's not really. I don't really hear it when I'm listening to the melody of the song. So let's take a look at that crazy line. Well, you'll notice it's the same notes I was just talking about for the A7. Now get your 5 in on the B, and you've got a great line now for an A7th chord. If you were playing a different jazz song, you know, maybe you were playing in the key of E or something. It sounds pretty jazzy. All right, so A, get your 5 in there, and then go ahead and hit the B. That's going to be part of this chord, B7, and I couldn't come up with any good fingering, so I just play that much and then just jump real fast. So I did come up with a better fingering. If you get 3 and 2 there, then you can put your thumb underneath and do that. And play that as a 4th up there, because there's 2 horns playing it, and that's what they do. And you could, bend that note a little bit. All right, let's talk the theory behind that A7 chord and B7 chord. A typical blues, it starts on the 1 chord, hangs out there for 4 measures, then goes to the E flat, that's the 4 chord for a couple of measures, back to B flat for 2 measures, and then typically, in a very simple blues, we could just go to the 5 chord for 2 2 measures and back to the 1 chord for 2 measures. And those last 2 measures can be a turnaround, and in this case, the turnaround is simply a riff. All right, and the band kind of stops there and lets the horns play that. So, our 5 chord, tritone away, we've got that same chord, we've got B. So it's just a tritone substitution for the 5 chord right there. And I guess you could call this a tritone substitution for the 4 chord. But what are we going to do? How are we going to improvise over these? Let's take the A7 first. Now, I did this method recently in a song called Pinocchio by Wayne Shorter. And this is not the best way to learn music theory, but this is a way to kind of get the scale from the chord. All right, so we have this rootless voicing here, and we're gonna fill in that 9th there for like an A7th. And we're just gonna play the notes of the chord and fill in a few places in between. So we're gonna start with the bottom note of the chord. We're gonna go a whole step. See, now I'm on a chord tone. Another whole step. I'm on another chord tone, another whole step, that's that sharp 11, and then a half step before I do another whole step, and then a half step here too to get us back to where we started. Now we're ready for whole steps only. Our half step, our whole step, and our half step. All right? All right, now moving up a whole step here to the B chord, we're going to have some of the same notes here, right? Those were all in this one. All right, and then our little smaller section here with the 2 half steps is right in here. The Lydian dominant scale for the B chord. Ideally, you want to learn this as the A Lydian dominant scale, which means you start like the regular A major, but you sharp the 4, and then you flat the 7th, right? A major would have, see that's the 7th. So when you flat it, it comes out to be a white key. That's the way it works. All right? You would learn it as that scale, not like just looking at the chord and figuring it out that way. When you're just learning, any kind of shortcut, mental shortcut is fine. As long as you understand what you're doing, use any shortcut that helps you. And you'll hear it flows very nicely back into that B flat minor. So. And probably on the B chord, you could start even thinking in B flat minor there. Put a little blues scale in there or something. Yeah, always be thinking ahead, thinking to what the next chord is. I think I will go upstairs to the studio, try to make a little track of this. Band in the Box isn't going to know what to do with that bass line, so I might just put it in myself and give you a little track to practice along with. If you can't read music, you can see those notes up there in blue. And since this is a blues, the notes should be blue. Yeah, of course. All right, here's the track. All right. Now, interesting thing here is that the song really is in B flat minor, so it should have 5 flats in the key signature. But because we're using the Dorian mode, that's an A flat major scale, because we want this note in there. 5 flats would give us that note. So that's why it's with 4 flats. But it's in the key of B flat minor, should have 5 flats. Write a natural in. And I thought of an interesting thing to do. If you improvise on an A major 7th, it's kind of like F sharp minor to B, like a little 2-5-1 going into B flat. That is a 2-5-1 going into B flat. It's kind of an odd one, but there's 4 different ways of doing 2-5-1s. So that makes a nice thing, yeah.